All right, good morning, everyone. Welcome to our Spiritual Sunday. We're going to start reading a message from the book Happy Life by the Spirit of John Angeles. And the message goes like that. Read something comforting and inspiring every day, however brief. Make it a habit. It will enrich you with joy, dispersing the dark clouds that may envelop you afterwards, and providing you with well-being should something unpleasant come up. Everyone needs a good counselor, and in the pages of the Gospel, we'll find sure guidelines and words of wisdom for every occasion. If people would only think before acting, they would avert countless evils. Be one who does, even if others do not. Yeah, very simple, very straightforward message, right? And very helpful. Read something inspiring every day and meditate and pray on that. Especially in the morning, right? If you can do that, right? When you wake up, that helps to set up the day. So since we're here in the morning, on Sundays, that's normally the day that we take for ourselves, for our spiritual care and our families. We open up our hearts and minds to receive the messages that we're going to receive today, and that's what we're going to do. We are going to read an inspiring message from the Gospel of Jesus, and we ask our spiritual guides to help us to understand this message with our hearts and minds so we can act accordingly to His Gospel, who is our guide, our major spiritual guide on earth and all the time. Thank you so much, Jesus, and all your workers, and we ask your permission and your blessing to our meeting. Thank you, so be it.
Thank you very much, Ajamara. Thank you very much. And from the Gospel according to Spiritism, we got who is my mother and who is my brother. An amazing teaching. This is the passage of the Gospel. When Jesus was in the house, I don't remember which was the house of Zacchaeus. He was actually with his disciples working, right? And then came somebody because to let he know that his mother and brothers came after him, and apparently this is, we don't have much in the Gospel, but what happened is that his biological family, right, did not fully understand his mission. And you can see, I mean, imagine if you had a kid like this that would talk in a way that you sometimes wouldn't understand, would have a perfect way of interacting with people, balanced, always, and know about his future. I mean, of course, they probably wanted him to have a future, material future, right? That was more important, right? And they were so, and he was so focused. No, my working. I mean, we think about Jesus like this amazing being, but having as a child, it would probably be a challenge. And of course, the family did not properly understand the mission he was going through. But and then he gives this teaching, right? So because what they expected, right? Jesus was doing some work inside somebody's house, healing, teaching, the charitable work and the loving work he was doing. And then the family came, probably to get him out to do something else, right? We don't know exactly, but the family apparently, had another priority, right? Wanted him to do something else, right? And he looked at the audience that Nina said, who is my father and who is my mother? Who are my brothers and my sisters? And this teaching is amazing for us right now. And we go through this all the time, right? Like, for instance, if you have kids, right? You have your kids' friends. They come. Sooner or later, right? If you have kids, you have your kids' friends, right? They come. Eventually, they're going to come. Even if you don't have many, if your kids don't have, eventually they'll show up, right? And you're a parent, right? And you see your kids' friends doing something silly. What do you think for yourself? Not my responsibility. They're not my kids, right? I'm on top of mine. But others, I'm not the parent. And here comes the question, are you? Because no matter how big your family might be, I know a few people that have this blessing of bringing a lot of to the world, but no matter how big your right? God gives us a small family for us to practice, right? For us to understand that that's the nucleus of my responsibility. But what's in the gospel? Love thy neighbor as yourself. Love God above all things, and love thy neighbor as yourself, right? So our responsibility actually is not circumscribed only to the family. That's just the task God gave us for the level of awareness we have at this point in time. Our responsibility goes way beyond, goes to the community. And as we grow spiritually, as we become more aware of spirituality, we will one day, and that's the teachings of Jesus, will embrace the whole universal family. Because, and we Spiritists, specifically we have a very clear explanation about that, right? Because we have a little problem. We understand that life goes beyond the flesh, right? We understand that a practical life in my mind will keep living after my body's gone, and I was alive before my body was created, right? So who is truly my family? We don't know, right? How do we know here among us that we haven't been each other's family, biological family, lives ago? We don't know. Again, we cannot have the large, we cannot, there's a limit number of people that can be my biological family right now, right? But how do we know whose family we were in the past? And in fact, we might have seen that kid that's a friend of our kid, or that friend that we have at work, or that person that, who knows, who to tell us that that person was not in our biological family in the past? We don't know. We really don't know. We might have way more brothers and sisters from a biological perspective than you remember, right? Because that's how life is. And we tend to gravitate to each other. And as we evolve spiritually, as we grow spiritually, that will permeate into my mindset where I truly see the universal family around me. That's actually, that's the Jesus level, right? That's when he sees us, a community of beings on earth, all of us, all human beings, as his family, right? That's the way we understand Jesus, right? That's why these teachings to us are so powerful, and we think that he works towards that. And we're not going to discuss Jesus specifically today, because it's a little too much for our. So we think that if you think about the Christian perspective on Jesus, which is pretty big, right? Jesus is huge in Christianity, right? We think Jesus is way bigger than that. Whatever vision people have on Jesus, like the Son of God and things like that, it pales to what the work he has done for us truly through all time, right? But we see him as seeing us as his universal family. And that's the problem. All of us. All of us. All. Regardless of religion. Regardless of place we live, regardless of socioeconomics, races, whatever way you can split human beings, and we're very creative, right? We split ourselves between even between sports teams, between preferences, likes. We love to separate ourselves into groups, into parts, into whoever who likes this. We even separate ourselves in things we don't like, right? We're against something, right? And the amazing thing about the gospel is all Jesus' teachings are universal, right? Love thy neighbor as yourself. There's no but, right? Love thy neighbor as yourself, as long as your neighbor is not like this. That's not part of the teaching, right? The teaching is love thy neighbor as yourself. And he knows we're kind of tough cookies, right? He even further explained, love it even your enemy. That wouldn't be necessary, right? Wouldn't be necessary, because if you understand that love thy neighbor as yourself, there's nothing. But he knows we're tough cookies, right? So he even went further, love thy enemy. Are we there? No. It's fine. We're learning this right now. So this is the lesson, right? But approaching this from the universal family is something that we can start right now. I think all of us have someone somehow under our care right now, right? And the message, when I read this message, because I'm very tempted to be honest with you. That's why I'm such an earthbound spirit, right? I totally see that. If I see a kid, I used to say, well, there was a bunch of kids that are doing something, and they do something silly, something they're not supposed to do, I look, is it my kid or not? I just look around and I see, who's doing it? Oh, it's not my kids. My problem is, quite often, you are my kids that were doing it. That was my problem. But isn't that the case? We get like, oh, it's not my kid. One of the kids is doing something silly over there, or breaking, or doing something, and that's to me so amazing that the teaching is very clear, right? Our responsibility. But why? Because the work is universal. We're here in a community. We're here together to learn together, to propel ourselves together spiritually, right? And to transform this planet, transform this place into a better place. And unfortunately, it takes every single one of us to do that. Every single one of us to do that. Every single one of us has, who knows how important our role is? We don't know. We don't know. We don't know how the reach our actions will have. We don't know how much we're going to touch somebody else's, transform somebody else's lives in a positive or a negative way even. We don't know, right? We don't know. We don't know the power of our actions, right? I just passed by today in an article about a lady that, you guys have heard about those tarot cards? It's the lady that created it. But she never thought it would be this big. Now it's big. I mean, she created the cards, and people use this for spiritual readings all over the world. And it's someone saying, be careful what you do. We don't know what our actions would do. And sometimes, who you're interacting with right now? Who is the kid that's a friend of your kid? Even if, we don't know. Maybe this is going to be a person that has a mission to transform a branch of science or a branch of society, the next leader of this planet, or the political leader or something. You don't know, right? And we also have the opportunity to be mindful about the experience I bring to that individual. We don't know. We don't know who's around us. We don't know. We honestly don't know who the people are around us. And I think this teaching is amazing, right? And Jesus exactly gave us that, who is my family, right? So my family is everywhere. My family is all those I touch, I interact with. All those I actually have the opportunity to transform and to transform myself in order to be part of this more growth-propelling community, right? So despite the inevitable harder work that brings to us, right? But I don't know about you. I read the gospel a few times, at least the Spiritist, the gospel according to Spiritism. Nowhere here he says it's going to be easy. They say it's going to be worth it. That spiritual growth is going to be worth it. The happiness that's awaiting us is unimaginable. But nowhere there they say it's easy. I mean, it depends, because it's the transformation of every single one of us, right? So it depends. How hard or how difficult, how hard or how easy depends on how we make it, right? with that in mind, we're going to stop our recording right now and move to our meditations and prayer and get some healing, energy healing, as the sign promises over there. Okay? Thank you very much, and see you guys later.